Welcome back to another weekly vlog. I am starting this recording at the end of my workday. However, my work is not done because I have a math training that I'm prepping for tomorrow. And one of the things that I love about math trainings is that they are so interactive, they're so hands-on, you have lots of manipulatives, and it's very engaging. However, it takes a lot of prep work. So I am currently getting those things together. I need to finish putting all those materials together. I'm going to show you a little behind the scenes of like how I organize myself when it comes to preparing for my training sessions. I need to take some images. It's just one of those very, very, very busy afternoons. Once I get through my training tomorrow morning, I think it's going to start dying down for me just a little bit. Not really. Dying down in the sense of like I get to be at home and working, but not from a I don't really have a lot to do because I have so much stuff to do. I need to prep like 4 different slide deck sessions. That's a lot. This morning, I was out at my coaching school for ECRI, and I was working with first grade, and they were phenomenal. One of the things that I will probably say that if you are a coach, somebody who's working with supporting teachers, I had an aha moment. Maybe you've already had this, but it took me a while to get there. But one of the things that we really need to get better about, and when I say we, I mean myself and the other coaches that are supporting the school, is that we need to be better about looking ahead in their materials to determine like what are they have coming up that we need to address so that they feel fully prepared for it. Sometimes I feel like in education, and maybe this is even from when I was teaching, I felt like I was just kind of barely getting there. Like I was, barely prepping and getting all of the materials ready for like the next day or the next week, that I never was really looking in advance. And one of the things that's really beneficial with ECRI is that we have all of the overlays, like everything's done. There's really no lesson planning other than in the comprehension and vocabulary, but that's a whole other can of worms. But when we're talking about like the phonics pieces, we need to like look ahead to say, oh, hey, you have this coming up in like a week or 2 weeks. Let's talk about it now so that you can process it. Let's talk about what these sounds look like, or how this routine looks like for your students so that you feel more confident with it. So one of my goals is that I would like to start sending out an email in advance saying, here's some things that are upcoming for your specific grade and for your books so that you need to kind of be prepared for. Which reminds me, I need my book. Where's my book? Where did I put it? Hold on. Hold please. Hold please. Oh, pickles. Okay, I need to write myself a note because I need to send an email to first grade. I need to send an email. So first grade email recap from coaching. So we always send out an email afterwards to teachers to just kind of recap, hey, this is kind of what we're seeing. And it was very interesting because all of first grade had the same question. So I want to make sure that I address it in this email. That way they are all on the same page. Because we could see some people, we couldn't see everyone. It's just, that's the way it is when everybody teaches the same thing at the same time. Okay, I am going to start getting all my things together. I'm going to get comfy first because I don't want to be in what I am currently. And we're going to get some math stuff together. That is the game plan right now. Okay. I feel really short. Okay. I am dressed, I'm comfy, and now what I need to start doing is finishing up with my kits. Back when I first started this year, and I was told that I was in the math initiative, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to create these math kits. That way I had materials in them, Walter, that I could just hand out, and then everything that I would need for any of my trainings would already be available. But I needed a few different things. So here are some things that I ended up getting. I got, I think it was from like AliExpress or something like that. These little containers. I'm out of breath because I went all the way downstairs to get a bunch of bags, and now I probably should just start this over. So I ended up getting these little containers to be able to put my chips inside of them. That way they're not just thrown inside of the bags, which would make it really unusable for people. And then I ended up going to Office Max, which, fun fact, did you know Office Depot and Office Max are actually together? Because when I looked up where I could find these base 10 blocks, it was like Office Depot. But when I went to the address that Office Depot was providing me, it was an Office Max. That confused me. Anyway, I ended up getting these, which they weren't terribly priced, to be honest. But these are just base 10 blocks that I need to have. And then I ended up getting more Unifix cubes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start separating. Now, to be fair, that's not everything that's inside of this bag. So let me show you all the things that I have inside of this, and I'm just going to pray that it's all together. So let me show you what's inside. All right, so not well organized at all. But here are some of the things that I did end up putting inside of them. So we have 15 of the Unifix cubes, which that's what I'm going to end up putting in all of them. I think I have about 40 inside of this. Maybe I have more than that. I may have more than that inside of this. And then I have base 10 blocks, pattern blocks as well. And then I also have a set of die. And then I also have some for fractions, some that have larger numbers. And also these are for algebra. So I have all of these materials that are inside of this. I probably could figure out how to have things a little bit more organized, but this is what I end up having. I will fix it as I kind of continue working and figuring out what ends up working best. So I'm going to place everything in here and start getting, I think I have 10 more of these that I'm going to start putting together. So that is my plan. I am currently listening to, let me show you. Oh my gosh, Bridget. Okay, so I am currently listening to Outlander. So I had two coworkers that when we were at the conference that I was staying at, they were talking about Outlander and how much they loved it. So I got the book on Audible, started listening to it, and then Trent told me that it was on Stars or Showtime. It's one of those. And he was like, all the seasons are on there. So I'm listening to it, and then we also are watching it because he's not listening to the books, obviously, to see how we end up liking it. So far, I'm really, really enjoying it. So that is what I'm currently listening to. I'm going to put that back on, get my bags going, and try to get these done as quickly as possible. It is much later in the evening. In fact, it is currently 8:07. So I need to start wrapping things up and heading to bed so that I can get a really good night's rest before the session tomorrow. So I am looking a bit of a mess, but we're just going to ignore that. I did finally get some things like cleared up, especially like over here in my desk area and on the floor as well. And I wanted to just walk you through my setup and all the things that I'm going to be taking with me tomorrow. So I mentioned before that one thing I love about math trainings is that they're so interactive, but the downside to all of this is that it is a lot of stuffs that I'm taking with me. So this is my rolling cart. Love it because it's on 4 wheels, so it's super easy to maneuver. I usually keep it folded in my car. I still don't have my car. If you are not really sure about that, you can watch last vlog. But I still don't have my car back. Hoping to get it soon. So in here, I have a couple of things. I'm going to take my Number Talks resources and some of the other activities that I used back when I taught kindergarten. I have these bags for each individual teacher. I did end up cleaning them out and only using the base 10 blocks, the Unifix cubes, and the counting chips inside of it. I took everything else out. But other than that, I have some candy at the bottom. Let me kind of dig in here. I know I'm messing it up, but that's fine. I have some stickers that I end up taking with me to put out on tables along with the candy. I have my extension cord ready to go. This has like my bell that I use. It has sticky notes in there, extra pins, lots of little doodads that I can pull out. These are all my like tech cords. So any cords, and then like clickers to be able to click through. I have all those in there. I usually keep a ball, a stress ball. And then I have little bowls over here for the candy to go out on tables. So that's all in that. Here, I have decided to just grab one of these like foldable boxes that we have for the IKEA cubes, but we had a bunch of them that were just kind of laying around because my boys don't use them. So I have my Number Talks book. I have some Post-it notes for big notes. Not sure if I'm going to need them, but I'm also taking some poster boards and things like that downstairs. Markers. I have some information and resources in here for counting collections. I need to make some counting collections. So actually, I forgot to do that. Thank goodness I did this video. These are agree, disagree, strongly disagree for the beginning opener activity. I have a counting collections additional resource that if we have time to be able to get through this, we will definitely do a quick jigsaw. I have a bunch of my activities resources that are here in these pouches. And then in this pouch is going to be the participant packets. And then I have a bunch of just random things that I decided that I was just going to bring with me for counting collections and all of that. So my battery's about to die, so I'm probably just going to leave this here and then I will get it cleaned up and see you guys in the morning. I'm still in the process of getting ready this morning and I'm trying to talk a little bit more quietly so that I don't wake up the kids. But today is presentation day. I am getting ready. I just finished my hair, my makeup. I have found that leaving my hair like where just it's all down starts to really bug me and I get really hot when I'm presenting. So I put it back in a little half up, half down. And I'm just looking over my notes, making sure I have everything. Last night, Trent put all of the items inside of the truck for me so that I don't have to worry about those. I have my laptop and my iPad charging, so I'm going to grab those right before I get my drinks and all the other things that I need. So let me show you what my notes look like. So these are the notes that I make in order to be able to help me keep track. I have found that if I print out an entire slide deck, it's just way too much. I decided to go paper. Typically, I will put this on my iPad and just use my iPad. But today, I don't know, I just wanted a paper for some reason. So what I do is I will put the course title. I didn't put the description for this go around. The length of the training, the authors, the outcomes, and then any of the materials. Now, these were all checked off online and then I unchecked them just to make sure that I have everything when I leave. So it's a great way for me to just check things off. And then I have the timing, which is here. But then what I do is for every single outcome, I will put down how much time, when am I supposed to start, when am I supposed to stop, what is the outcome format, and then I will insert images of the slides. I'm sorry it's strobing. I apologize, but it is what it is. And then I just kind of write my notes. So you can see this is basically where I put all of the information so that I can look over it and feel pretty confident about the content that I'm delivering. So I'm going through making some additional notes, but that's what it looks like. So once you get into the next outcome, it changes color. That way I have an idea of which outcome goes for which one. So that's kind of a general look of my notes, and that's what I'm going over right now. I don't think I told you guys that the school that I'm going to is actually my son's first elementary school. So it's the district that I actually live in. So it's about 5 minutes away from me, which is really, really nice. So I plan on getting there at 7:45. The session starts at 8:20 and then it ends at 11:45. We will plan to get them out just a little bit early so that they can get everything situated, especially if they have to go back into the classroom, which I think they do. So I don't have a very long drive, which is great for me. So I'm going to go get dressed, and then I'm going to spend the remainder of the time downstairs just kind of looking over my notes and feeling a little bit more confident about the content that I'm delivering. And I do feel confident. I just don't have all the answers, but I also have to recognize I don't need to have all the answers. So I'm delivering very specific content on place value for early elementary for K2, and really looking in at manipulatives and how do we build fluency, how do we build the concepts of place value with kids. So I'm going to take them through a couple of activities. What's really interesting is that these are all the things that I did when I taught kindergarten. So I was able to pull out all those materials to be able to take with me, which I am very excited about. So I'm going to stop yapping because I don't want to wake everybody up, but I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Wish me luck. The session this morning went really, really well. I probably could have showed you my outfit. There was lots of things that I could have done. However, when you are getting ready for a session, your brain is not thinking about anything else except being prepared. And I found myself that even though I had woken up very early, I was kind of cutting it close on time. So I even had to have like Trent make Blaine's lunch and stuff like that because I just I couldn't find the time this morning to get it done. Either way, the session went really, really well. It was on K2 place value and multi-digit addition and subtraction, like computation. However, the more that I'm reflecting on this session, which this session was already planned before I came into the math initiative itself. So I don't try to immediately make a ton of changes when I am brand new to something. Same as when I was in teaching. I didn't try to do things like completely new from what the team was typically doing. I found myself doing the same thing that the sessions were doing, adding just a little bit here and there just to kind of add clarification on my part. But I don't know if the computation went well with that session, specifically multi-digit computation. Because it is a K2 session, I almost feel like, and you're going to have to forgive me, so I'm going to explain like the 3 different sessions. So for K2, there is an early numeracy, there is a place value and addition and subtraction, and then there is a problem solving. I almost feel as though the first session, which is early numeracy, could be embedded with place value. And then we should have a computation session that pulls in a lot of CRA, which is concrete, representational, abstract strategies in there. And then I think we should have a problem solving session that's all by itself. So I think after talking with the 2 ladies who are in the math initiative with me, I think we're going to juggle a little bit and do some tweaks as far as the session goes. Now, if you are somebody who is a consultant, maybe you're a coach, you're a trainer, whatever it might be, here is my recommendation for you that I have learned, I think, the hard way. So one of the things we've always done is we've always planned full day sessions. I think this gets us in trouble. So what I see in the future is instead planning the half day session first and then extending it for a full day. So going deeper, looking at how we can develop their understanding even more. But what we're trying to do currently is that we're doing a full day session and then we're just trying to get rid of stuff to do a half day. But where that gets us in trouble is we're like, oh, but this is really important. Oh, but this is really important. If everything is important, then nothing is important. So I recommend starting with a half day session and then pulling it into a full day to go deeper and develop that knowledge even more. So I do think that we're going to make some tweaks. We've already discussed that we are going to go back in January. We have that already planned. However, we were going to do the early numeracy in January. I believe what we're going to end up suggesting is instead of doing early numeracy, because we embedded some of that in the fluency piece with the subitizing, the cardinality and stuff was all in the place value. I think instead what we're going to do is we're going to try and 1, make it a full day, and 2, see if we can bring back some of the computational pieces because we were not able to cover as much as we wanted to. Things just went over because I'm trying to do a full day session in a half day. And then I think we're going to do problem solving strategies. So we're going to pull in a little bit of the Rigamini, it's not work solutions, it's just the problem solving strategies, but we could also pull in the work solutions as well. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. I wanted to show you guys, I've already changed by the way, but I wanted to show you guys a couple of the strategies that if you are somebody who is finding that your students are really struggling when it comes to place value instruction, just some pieces to keep in mind as you work through. I have a load of things all over. So let me show you my mess that I have going on at the moment. I've got my coffee and here is the chaos that now I have to try and put away. I am still struggling with how to organize all these materials in my house. If you were watching any of my vlogs back from August, then you know that all of these things live in my house because they're all mine. I put my own money into this to be able to have these training materials, and I use a lot of these materials elsewhere. So like, for example, these little cards, these little sticks, they were a hit. One of the things we thought about is taking these and actually embedding it throughout the session instead of just doing it as an opening activity. But these are going to be used for a training that I'm going to be doing in January in South Carolina. So I'm going to be going back to South Carolina. And so these were a hit. So I have to make more of these to make it enough for the participants in my training on that day. But I need to be able to put these all of these things somewhere. All of the math kits that I made, all of these are all mine. So these are all my materials. I end up keeping these materials as we continue to expand what will eventually be known as bridging academics. So couple of things that I wanted to point out. When it comes to place value, there are 3 different levels of place value instruction. So you have unitary, which students are counting by single ones. They see, the number 59 as 59 individual ones. They are not conceptually able to group them into groups of 10. And then you have the base 10, which is where we want kids to be, especially in the early grades. We're trying to get them to that point of being able to group by tens. So seeing that it's 1 group of 10s, 2 groups of 10s, 3 groups of 10s, and 2 single ones to make 32. And then finally, equivalent, which is where students have a much higher ability level of saying, oh, I know that I can do a 10, a 10, and a 12 to make 32, and they're not having to do 10, 10, 10, and then a 2. So they have a much higher range, and they kind of go back and forth between grouping 10 singles and then having them as actual groups. So what we focused on for K2 is primarily within that base 10 area. And I am a big proponent of finding strategies that are very, very simple and something that is going to be easy for the teacher that can be implemented regularly. And one of the things that I've done in the past when I taught kindergarten is called counting collections. You can probably go back to my kindergarten videos, which are absolutely cringe, so please don't do that, and find some of my counting collection items that were in there. But with counting collections, essentially, you're giving them a collection of items that they need to count. So I gave them some different examples. Let me see if I can actually put you guys down. Hold on. Okay, this is good. This works. So I gave them some different counting collections. So like a bag of pennies, which these are my sons. I'm going to have to give these back to him. Maybe I'll just give him some dollars. A bag of beans. Lima beans are probably better than pinto beans, but you can still do these. And then I had paper clips. I have things like beads, and then I had some popsicle sticks. And then I also had one more, which these were a little bit cray. But they were a bunch of pipe cleaners. I don't know where they went. Oh, there they are. So pipe cleaners like this. And basically you put kids into groups or partners is what I typically did. I didn't do more than partners just because it was a little bit too hard for me to kind of manage the groups and get them like socially to work together, especially in kindergarten. what they would do is they would place these and they would count them into various groups. So they would use different tools. So I had a ton of 10 frames that the kids could utilize to help them with counting. I had lots of big cups. I had smaller cups. I had plates. I also had egg cartons that they could organize the numbers to help them count. So basically, I would start the lesson by showing them this as an entire group and saying, hey, we're going to count these today. And then one by one, counting and counting and counting. And I would say, guys, this is taking a really long time. I wonder if there's an easier way for us to count. So the idea is to get them thinking, oh, we know how to count by tens because that's something that you're constantly working on, that you could get them to all count by tens. Well, I would give them each a little snippet of beans and maybe some cups to organize it. And I would say, let's go ahead and count them by tens and have everybody working with their elbow partners to count by tens and putting them together. Whatever they have left over, we would put it together and then we would do the rest of it as an entire group because it would go pretty quick. So eventually, what they would do is they would count the collection, which I had kindergartners that were counting all the way up to like 200. And then they would represent this in a certain way. So I have some recording pages. I had some resources for those teachers, but I was showing them the counting collection strategy. The other thing that we talked a little bit about, which I think is going to be the really big piece, is that when we're talking about place value, and I'm going to fix you. Okay. When we are talking about place value, we want students to be able to build this understanding of how to see groups of tens, right? That's the whole goal. We're going from unitary counting at individuals to moving them to tens. And in order to do that, what we start to do is we utilize manipulatives in order to help us do that. So there are two different types of manipulatives. You have proportional and then you have non-proportional. Within proportional, there are two subgroups. You have groupable and non-groupable. And so within the proportional groupable, basically all that means is that, let me see if I do have it in here. What that means is I can take these items here, these individual cubes, and I can put them together to create a group of 10. And it's proportional because these 10 are going to be the 10 that are here are 10 times larger than the single unit of 1. What happens is that students are able to put these pieces together. So I showed them an activity for how to build that understanding of place value and seeing the difference. It's called DING, but it worked really well. So they would be able to see that this one or these 10 are 10 times larger than this one single unit. And so it's proportional because it's larger, and then it's groupable in that students are doing the grouping of those materials. When we start to get into pre-grouped, that is when we are most commonly using items such as our base 10 blocks. So you would have students count out this one single, and once they got to 10, they would then have to replace the single, they're trading it in for the rod. The problem is kids have a really hard time going from this to this. You wouldn't think that because for us, it seems like common sense. For kids, it is not. So what we have to do is we have to give them more opportunities to build practice with the groupable proportional items first, which is where counting collections comes into play because you're literally grouping them into tens. And so kids start to see, oh, if I have 10 groups of 10 groups of tens, then I could put those together and make a group of 100. And so these are all conversations and opportunities that we need to be giving kids. The problem that if you're starting with these here, kids are going to have a really hard time developing an awareness of their place value because they don't see this individual thing here and this as being the same thing. Again, to you, it's like, why? But again, it's really, really hard to develop that. And I think the key is really focusing in on your language. So when we played the activity of DING, we really were intentional of our language. So I have 0, 10s, 2, 1s, for a value of 2. And then once we got up to 10, they would say, I have one group of 10. I have 0 ones for a value of 10. So we were constantly building that language and getting them to practice that. And I think that went over really, really well. So I want you to just keep that in mind, that if you have kids that are struggling, is it because you are using pre-grouped proportional manipulatives? Think of it as a progression. You need to start with the groupable items first, move into the pre-grouped proportional, and then move into then more of the non-proportional. These are things like rec and recs. They're like money. They're like the little dots that you see with like 10, and then another dot is a different color and it says, 1. They're non-proportional. Like the value is different for each of them, but the size is the exact same. Again, something really, really hard for kids who are struggling. So even if you're an upper elementary teacher and you teach math and you are using those little dots, which I do have them because I showed them as an example. So if you're showing them these and you're trying to get kids to use this, you see those where you can see this one is a 10. This is really hard for them, especially if they are really struggling and they've never been given the opportunity to work with groupable items first. So with the accounting collections, I did it once a week, and you could even do it as a big class. Now, I would be careful with how many items you have in there, and then how are you going to get them to kind of count some of those items, but you can still do a lot, like little things like this is a big number right here. I don't know how many there are, but you can have quite a bit in here for students to be able to build. But think about the conceptual understanding, and once you start adding in numbers and also the language of how many groups of 10s, how many groups of 1s do you have, I mean, it will impact kids' thinking. Okay, so I need to clean all this up. One of the things that we're going to be doing this afternoon is we're going to go get a Christmas tree, because yeah, I know it is December 10th and I still don't have a Christmas tree. We just weren't feeling great this past weekend, and this past weekend was typically when we would go and get our Christmas tree. So we're going to go get our Christmas tree. I'm going to take you along with me, and hopefully we can get it decorated before my parents come this weekend. So thank you so much for the dedication that you have, and for the hard work that you've been doing, and the questions that you ask, and for even allowing us to come into your classrooms. So I don't have any makeup on this morning. I woke up this morning, got an email, a couple of emails that I need to get sent out done. One of the things that I like to do as a coach, that when I send a follow-up email, if it is super lengthy, as in I'm trying to give the teachers lots of little bits of information, I will just do a video recording on top of that using Loom. It's so easy. I did not show my face this morning, so I did it with a down camera view, but I was at least able to walk them through a couple of things. I woke up with a little bit of an earache this morning, which is not great. The weather is very icky. It is raining constantly. It was raining yesterday when we were picking up our Christmas tree. But we did get our Christmas tree. It's sitting in the garage, and we need to bring it in once it starts to kind of calm down with rain, or at least there's a breaking point, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I am, however, headed off to go get my car. They called me, they said that my car is ready, so now I'm gonna go get my car, and I'm so excited about it. So we're gonna go and head out and do that, and then I'm gonna come back, and I have several presentation sessions to work on. I have a science of writing one that I'm going to be doing, a conventional literacy, and then I have an MTSS leadership one that's coming up, and then the second math training. And I need to send out another email. So lots of little things that are happening. Let's try to find something to keep me dry-ish and head out in the rain and go get my car. Guess who's back in her car? I am so happy. It looks good. Everything looks good. I am so freaking excited to have my car back. So now I'm headed back home and getting back to work. That is the game plan. Okay, here we go. Walter, what is it? It's our Christmas tree. It's terrible lighting. So thank goodness we were on our way back home and realized that it stopped raining because we were able to bring the Christmas tree in. So here's our Christmas tree. Let's see if the light adjusts. She's pretty. So we're gonna let it drop a little bit before we decide what else we need to cut off. I feel like I want to cut off just a little bit here to keep the shape, but she has a beautiful shape and she's so pretty. All right, you can't see anything. So we're gonna do lights later on this evening, and I'm headed up to get some work done. It's been quite some time since I have vlogged last, mainly because I ended up getting a really bad earache. Went to the doctor, sat there for quite some time, and it is a little bit better. I'm still taking some ibuprofen because it's sensitive, but all is well. Although I feel like other members of my household are starting to get sniffling, which is never a good sign. So today, my parents are coming in from Houston. So we're gonna be doing Christmas here with them. They're gonna be opening up one gift. My kids are gonna be opening up one gift, and then we're just gonna have some nice little family time. So we've decorated the house. Everything is clean, and I figured I would show you just like a Christmassy, like, here's what my house looks like, because my house will never be this clean. So I'm gonna take you around, show you some little bits and pieces of what my home looks like. All right, so this is the entrance to the kitchen. Hello, Walter. It comes right off the dining room. But when you come in here, we have a really pretty wood, just kind of like bar top almost. It's very small. As you can see, there's not a ton of space, but it works perfectly for this size. And my father-in-law is the one who actually gathered the wood and did all the things to make it look this way, because I couldn't tell you what he did. This is the back door for our house, and I have just a little wreath. That's Walter's bell to let us know he needs to go to the bathroom. And then this is the kitchen piece. So I did add a little bit of garland up here at the very top. We just cleaned the countertops and waxed those. And then we have this side, which has white at the top, still the same backsplash. But yeah, that is the kitchen. Nothing super Christmassy in here, but let me show you what we have on this side. So this is our dining room, and we have a little Christmas tree back there in the back. I have a little Christmas bunny, Christmas tree in a pot. These are all the gifts my mom had delivered to the house, so we just kind of kept them there for her. So we place all of our advent calendars here. This one is amazing, by the way. Ended up getting this one from the, oh my gosh, I'm gonna put the name here because I can't think of it. So everybody has a different one, and they're all placed here. And then over on this side, we have a very small Christmas tree in the corner. This one has all of our family ornaments. So some of the things that the kids made, the ornaments that they've picked out over the years. Trent got me these little gnomes because I love gnomes. And we have a little sleigh that we take out to decorate it. So that's what that little Christmas tree corner looks like. And then when you turn around, this is our living room. So I have like a Harry Potter background going on in the back with the TV. I bought garland from Christmas Tree Hill, added some eucalyptus. These are some pieces of the real tree that we have. And then everybody has their stocking. There's our elf, Austin, hiding. So we have the garland. It comes off to one side because our fireplace meets the wall over here on this side. So, and then I also added some little dried oranges that I dried with my Ninja. It's a Ninja air fryer. And then our Christmas tree is a real tree that we pick out every year. We placed ornaments and oranges. I don't have a ton of ornament on the tree, but we already have a few gifts underneath. And then we place more garland. These I made for Thanksgiving for the nameplates. and ended up just putting a hook on it and placing our 4 there. I have a little wreath up here on this door because we can't really see it here. I have a little wooden snowman on this side. I have another wooden snowman and a Christmas tree here that my father-in-law has made. And then up here, I have a wreath with some mistletoe in the center. That's my home. So I'm gonna get ready to start making a soup for when my parents arrive. They should be landing, getting their car in just a little bit. So I'm gonna make sure that they have some lunch, and I'm gonna enjoy some nice holiday time with my family. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.